Zohar makes an unusual statement regarding the civil laws recorded in the Torah. On the verse, Ve'ela ha-mishpatim asher tasim lifneihem, the Zohar says that these civil laws of our Torah are connected with the secret of reincarnation. Now, this statement connecting civil law and reincarnation is confusing, very difficult to understand. We have to hopefully get into the details and come out with an explanation, a proper explanation to this. So before I start, though, I would like to first explain a little bit about the uniqueness of our civil laws, those that are recorded in the Torah. Now, every nation, every country, each society has its own set of laws that they follow in order to facilitate a peaceful and harmonious society. In fact, the Torah commands every country, every nation to make civil laws. It's one of these 7 mitzvot. Now, the civil laws of the Torah are very different, though, because our civil laws, the civil laws recorded in the Torah, come from Hashem directly. They are an expression of divine wisdom. Now, this unique factor makes our civil laws different than all of the other civil laws. For example, since they come from Hashem, since these laws come from Hashem, so they are perfect, unquestionable, and eternal. And when we talk about other countries developing laws, we see that a society might decide today one standard and then 50 years later change that standard. But the civil laws in the Torah are always going to remain the way they are. Now, connecting the idea of civil law to reincarnation, there are a lot of interesting stories out there. I'm going to just tell one or two to help us become familiar with the idea. First of all, there's a famous story from the Baal Shem Tov, who sends his main student, the Maggid of Mizrich, to a forest by a lake to just observe what would happen. And of course, the Maggid of Mizrich goes to listen to his Rabbi. And as he's observing the scene, a soldier comes riding on a horse and stops by the lake, right near the open area, and decides to take a nap. Waking up, he gets on the horse, drives away without realizing that he left a purse full of gold coins where he rested. Now, shortly after comes another man who finds these gold coins, takes them, and leaves. A third person arrives. This time it's an old, poor man with just a little bit of bread to eat. He sits by the lake to eat his bread and takes a nap, and is suddenly woken up by the soldier who's returning for what? For his money. The soldier comes and sees this old man sleeping. He doesn't even ask him too many questions. He starts beating him up, saying, "Give me my money, give me my money." And the old man doesn't know what he's talking about. He's saying, I don't have your money. I don't know what money you're talking about. And at this point, the soldier's in a rage, and he just continues to beat him up mercilessly. So finally, he realizes he's not getting any money from the old man, so he throws him to the ground and rides off. This is the end of that scene. And the Maggid of Mizrich was watching from a distance the entire scene, and he goes back to ask the Baal Shem Tov to explain what he saw. So the Baal Shem Tov explains that the soldier that left his money in a past lifetime was involved in a business deal with the second person who came and took the money. Now, unfortunately, the soldier cheated him, and when they went to court, so the man tried to get the money back in court, and the judge made a mistake in rendering his decision and awarded the money to the soldier instead of the second person. So now Hashem arranged that in this lifetime, the soldier would come and leave his money there by mistake, and that the second person will come and get it, thereby restoring back the money that was rightfully his. And this story is connected with what we spoke about, how civil law is connected with reincarnation, because since in a past lifetime, this person stole, essentially, the money, so that left a blemish on his neshama. You think you could get away with things. We can get away with lying, even in court. Courts, they're not prophets. They don't know if we're lying or not. With the lack of evidence, the judge can do nothing but make a verdict based on what is in front of him. But Hashem knows everything, and that's why we said that the civil laws are perfect, because they're from Hashem. So even if you could get away with cheating, in this world, Hashem sees above and will bring you to the world a second time to fix the wrong. And that's why in this case, the person found the money, which was really his own money. Now, what about the third person? We said an innocent old man came to eat his bread and was beaten up. So that old man that was beaten up was the judge, who was also punished for making a mistake. since really there was enough evidence and there was a case itself, if the judge would have worked harder to find the true resolution, he would have seen that he could have awarded the money to the second person. But the judge did not do his full job as a judge. He made a mistake and rewarded the money to the wrong person, and for that he was also punished. This is one of the famous stories from the Baal Shem Tov. Now, similar story brought, this one is connected with the Kedushas Levi, Rav Levi Yitzchak from Barditchev, slightly different case, also dealing with reincarnation. So in his case, what happens is he just now becomes the new judge and the new rabbi in Barditchev, and the very first case brought to him is a very simple case. In the Torah, it's a very simple rule. When it comes to trying to extract property or money from orphans, so the rabbis set up fences to protect them, because orphans cannot know the dealings of their father and mother. They don't know the dealings of their parents, and they're vulnerable for liars to come and cheat them out of what's rightfully theirs. So in order to take money from an orphan that inherited from his father, you have to have 100% proof to take this money, and furthermore you have to swear that everything is correct, because it could be that privately somehow the person paid you back and no one knows but you, and you have an opportunity now to cheat out these orphans from their money. So it's very difficult to take money from orphans. And this was the first case that came now before the Kedushas Levi. There was a person that passed away, leaving his entire wealth to his children. In his home, there was a cellar with a lot of area that he used as his own personal warehouse. So part of the merchandise that was in the warehouse was several boxes of expensive inventory that was now being claimed by another person. He came and said that your father and I were friends, and I deposited all this merchandise with him, and we had done business in the past many times, and since we knew each other so well, we didn't make contracts, and there was no proof. And he said, he came to claim his things back. The only problem is that the rule is with orphans, you can't take anything from them without proof and an oath. Here he had no proof and no oath. So they decided they'll go to the Kedushas Levi, Rav Levi Yitzchak. So he heard the case, and it was a very simple case. There's only one thing for him to say, that the money stays with the orphans. But he was bothered, because in this case, it seemed so obvious that the person was not lying. The person was a rich man. The person was known by the entire community to be an honest man. And everyone knew that they were friends, and they did business in this way in the past, that they weren't careful to write contracts. So essentially, everyone in this town, where he was now the new rabbi, knew that this man was telling the truth. However, the law from the Torah stated that the money has to stay with the orphans. And Rabbi Levi Yitzchak was bothered by this contradiction. How could the truth be so far away from a verdict of Torah, which is truth? So he said, let's wait before I make my decision. And he was davening to Hashem to show him why such a case was brought before him. And suddenly the man calls out, Rabbi, I remember something. And he approaches the rabbi and says, when I was young, my brothers and I, we inherited from our father some merchandise that someone also came to claim. And of course the rabbi said, no, the money stays with the orphans. The amount of money that he was claiming matches exactly the amount of money right now that I'm trying to take from them. And now I see Hashem ordained that this case should come to me like this, where I lose the money in order to give it back. These are the grandsons of the man that came to collect the money from me, when I was a kid. And so now, by giving the money to his grandchildren, in some way that's fixing the debt. So that's a famous story that's from the Kedushas Levi. So we spoke about these two stories, and hopefully with these stories we could appreciate and understand that our money dealings, when we do business, in America there's a saying, business is business. But that's an unfortunate, very misleading statement. Everything is life. When you do business, it's you, the person that you are doing business. You're not only holy when you go to synagogue and pray, and that's when you have to be holy, and then when you leave the shul, you leave your holiness in the shul and you do whatever you want in business. The first question they ask you when you get to Shemaim is, did you do proper business with faith in Hashem honestly? And if the answer is no, then you are coming with a lot of problems. And Hashem finds a way to help fix these problems, the way we talked about. So the lesson we should take out is to be very careful in our business dealings. You think you could get away with lying, but Hashem knows. And we do a lot more damage than we think. It's a few dollars today comes and goes, but the damage that you do in owing someone money that was rightfully his is not so easy to fix. Coming back in the Gilgul and being reincarnated is one of the difficult things that the neshama has to go through. So we should be as careful as possible to make sure that our business dealings are done properly.